You're listening to The Luxury Item, the podcast on the business of luxury and the people and companies that are shaping the future of the luxury industry. Here's your host, Scott Kerr.
Beauty, one of the consumer categories hit hardest by the global coronavirus pandemic, will bounce back fastest, experts predict. The beauty industry has been resilient in the past. The beauty market, which generates $500 billion in sales according to consulting firm McKinsey, is set to surpass 2019 sales despite the pandemic's setbacks. Fashion, meanwhile, is not expected to recover until 2022, McKinsey predicts. The prestige beauty segment has perked up as well. According to the NPD Group, sales in the U.S. amounted to nearly $4.9 billion in the second quarter of this year, a jump of 66% from Q2 last year and 6% in a more normalized pre-pandemic 2019. But what is this comeback story for the beauty industry going to look like when it returns? Trends like clean beauty, inclusive products, and digital sales are now the guiding principles for brands. The beauty industry, as with most retail businesses, was forced to rethink their pre-COVID-19 approach and reimagine customer engagement in an entirely new context during the pandemic that will set the tone for the shopping experience for years to come. My guest today on The Luxury Item is a leader that's shaping the future of the beauty industry. Laetitia Raoust is General Manager at Yves Saint Laurent Beauty US, where she is responsible for guiding the overarching strategy of the brand and accelerating growth in the US market. Before she was promoted to this position, Laetitia was the Chief Digital Officer for Maybelline New York, another L'Oreal company, where she defined the global digital strategy of the #1 cosmetic brand in the world and oversaw program rollouts in over 50 markets. And prior to joining L'Oreal USA in 2013, Laetitia spent 4 years at Google, first in Paris as the head of consumer marketing, then in Hong Kong as the regional lead for consumer marketing, leading marketing efforts for search and client products across Asia Pacific. Welcome to The Luxury Item, Laetitia.
Hi, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. So I want to jump right into this. You were promoted in August 2020 to General Manager of Yves Saint Laurent Beauty US from Maybelline Worldwide, where you were the Chief Digital Officer there. So what were you tasked with when you joined Yves Saint Laurent Beauty?
Yeah, as a country GM, country general manager, the role is always to grow the business, to adapt to the go-to-market strategy locally, and to have the most relevant offer. But I think in the case of YSL, there were like three specifics. One, it was really to modernize our marketing, embracing the digital shift, accelerating e-business, having a true omni-channel, as we say, approach. Then two, for YSL, it was to grow all of our categories. We have fragrance, makeup, skincare. We want to grow all these categories to become a true beauty brand, not just a fragrance brand.
Mm-hmm.
And then three, I think it's continuing to work on the brand equity. It's more and more important. We want this brand to be edgy. We say, we live by a mantra. We always say young, edgy, luxury. So how do we continue working on this, and what does edgy mean in the US, for instance? So
yeah, and you joined at a time when, amid widespread quarantine, social distancing, and mask wearing requirements, beauty customers were changing their spending habits and flocking online. And companies accelerated their e-commerce strategies with online sales growth. So how did your digital experience help navigate YSL Beauty's pandemic playbook at the time?
I think beyond purely technical skills like understanding e-commerce, mastering online content, my background gave me a good understanding of all the consumer touch points. And the consumer will experience the brand through many elements, like an Instagram post, a video, a mailer, an event in the street, a sample, and so on. So I think it's this ability to see past the store shelf and have the full expression of the line of the brand online, in real life, and being focused on creating a consistent image, a consistent story throughout all these touch points.
I mean, the behaviors have changed. So what were some of the interesting beauty consumer behavior patterns and trends that emerged amid COVID-19? And which ones do you think will stick?
Most of the behaviors, like we've all talked about, the rise of e-commerce, the more complex path to purchase, the emergence of a new type of influencers, like all these behaviors, I think they were here before. They were here before COVID, and the pandemic just really accelerated them. But there is one, I must say, in beauty that really surprised us.
Which was that?
It's the growth of fragrance. And
Hmm.
I don't think we saw it coming. The growth of fragrance is totally remarkable. You
Yeah.
have a lot of brands that have more than doubled their business in the last year. And it's true that at the beginning you could understand, like when COVID started, like, you know, we saw a lot of shifts towards self-care, self-expression. So you had this time of sensory deprivation, and
Hmm.
suddenly scent was actually really more evocative. It was all about like feeling good, not so much looking good.
Right. It was
But what's super
self-care. Yeah.
interesting, yeah, exactly. But what's really interesting is that now that we're going out again, that social events have started again, it's sticking. Like people have turned to fragrance, and they don't seem to reduce their consumption. So it's a true shift in the behavior. It's also a lot of younger people reaching for fragrance as a way to express themselves. So it's really exciting to see such new energy in a category. And I think it's here to stay.
Did you see any patterns in terms of how the types of fragrances that consumers were using at the beginning of the pandemic? Things that perhaps brought back memories, more traditional ones,
Yeah,
and maybe coming out of it experimenting more?
yeah, totally. I think it's been on both end of the spectrum. Like I think they started with like somewhat lighter, more subtle fragrances at first, but then we now see the rise of more intense fragrances. So it's also like I think people are more daring, they're experimenting more, and overall the whole market is slightly shifting. And also people are mixing fragrances, having more fragrances on their shelf than they used to have. So it's becoming a true staples in beauty now.
And the beauty industry is expected to reach like $463 million by 2027, and young consumers have considerable stake in that growth. And Gen Z seems to be single handedly shifting the industry. So, what have
Yeah.
you learned about this next generation and what they want from beauty brands and beauty products?
Yeah, we're all focused on the infamous Gen Z, and we're all trying to learn as much as we can on this generation. I think it's an extremely demanding generation. I think they're very knowledgeable about formulas, about makeup techniques. They want no nonsense. They require authenticity. So it's a big word, authenticity. We always
Hmm.
use it, but I think even more than authenticity, it's like they are activists. They want meaning, inclusivity, diversity, sustainability, social engagement, and all of that applies to beauty. And they're just at the beginning of their makeup routines, beauty routines. So they're still learning, and they want to experiment. So there's a lot, there's a lot of demand for clean products. The way they shop is different. It's not just transactional. They're really trying to align themselves with the brand's image, the values, the beliefs. So I think as an industry, we have to do a better job of telling not just a product story, but really a brand story. And it's one of our big priorities at YSL.
And how does YSL Beauty stay relevant with this audience who really split their time between the digital and real life worlds and have strong beliefs, like you said, in activism, positive messaging,
Yeah.
sustainability, and inclusivity?
Well, first, I mean, the fashion house, the couture brand, I mean, has this sort of modernity in its DNA. I think it's always been a modern brand. Just some examples, like Monsieur Saint Laurent, like he created the first tuxedo for women. So think about gender fluidity. He was one of the first designer to embrace diversity on the runway. So I think it is in the equity of the brand. And of course, beauty, YSL Beauty is totally focused on staying relevant and relevant to this young audience. So for us, we're obsessed with inclusivity in our content. Like we made it a priority in our latest launch, like this range called New. We
Mhm.
have a lot of faces, a lot of stories, really representation at scale. We're building a robust sustainability program. We have commitment to an important cause called Abuse is Not Love, which is about intimate partner violence prevention. So we know it's not only about beautiful products, and we have a responsibility, I think, to do more, to do better.
Yeah, and you were just mentioning YSL Beauty just launched a brand new range of makeup, skincare, hybrid products, the new collection, NU, and it was created with Gen Z for Gen Z. So tell us a little bit about that launch of that collection and the strategy and thinking behind it.
Yeah, it's our first like makeup and skincare hybrid collection. So it's basically products that you can use for makeup, but they're also good for your skin. So you have a skin tint, a face balm, a lotion, like and so on. And nu in French it means naked, and I think it was the idea to create a line that has nothing to hide. That doesn't hide the specificities of your skin, doesn't hide any nasty ingredient, and on top of that it's really we're using recycled material. Each product formula is infused with sustainable ingredients. Everything we mentioned, everything we discussed before about this Gen Z generation looking for meaning, looking for no nonsense, we have it in this line, and we're very proud of this new launch for us.
Yeah, and new being naked in French, I would assume that it's about transparency too.
Absolutely. Transparency in, in the ingredients, in the packaging, etc. Transparency even of the formulas themselves. These are formulas that are non-covering. Like basically we say my skin, my signature is the motto for this line. And it's this whole idea that, you can flaunt your imperfection. And that is also a very Gen Z approach, and something we're very aligned with.
Yeah, and I was reading that each product in the new collection includes at least one ingredient from the female-led, is it
Yeah,
Community Gardens,
Ulrika.
but Aurica Community Gardens Botanicals. Can you explain what the Aurica Gardens is and how YSL Beauty taps into this community?
So it's a garden that was that the brand owns, and it was created in 2013. It's located in Morocco, near Marrakesh in the Atlas Mountains. This area is very close to the brand's history because Yves Saint Laurent had a home there. He's actually buried there, and so giving back to this special place was always in our mind. It's a botanical garden, and where we grow in a sustainable way more than 200 botanical species that we can then use in our products. It's an interesting, sustainable experience. And in addition to that, it's managed by 33 women that are coming from the local community. So there's
Hmm.
also this idea of giving back to the community, and making sure we provide for these women that are working there.
Is that communicated to the consumers? Are they aware of that?
It's a long-term thing because when you think about it, we started in 2013. It took a few years to even like plant and grow the botanicals. So we're literally in the first year of more active communication about this, and we will communicate more and more. And it's also the beginning of our sustainability program. But we're very proud that we started a few years ago, and I think it's this idea of something that could be very long-term and that will continue evolving in the coming years.
And you said in an interview that the new brand campaign features a community of ambassadors who, quote unquote, embody this new generation of beauty. Who are these ambassadors and how will they be used to promote the brand?
Yeah, for new, we felt that it was important to break our usual model featuring one or two spokespersons. So we this time we recruited like almost 40 ambassadors, and we call them the new collective. And so it's a group of amazing talents that are musicians, artists, DJs, activists. It includes like a TikTok star like Ricky Thompson. So they all represent diverse communities. They're all very relevant to this Gen Z world. And we want these ambassadors to use their voice to talk about new in an authentic way on the platform they want. So we've created together a lot of content. And in this content, they share their own vision of makeup, their story, their values. So I think it's more organic, it's more fluid and integrated. It's less scripted than a traditional like spokesperson relationship. And for that reason, I think it's a very interesting experiment for us to see, how we continue to use these voices and how they help us with this launch, and explain the product messages, etc.
How is it going so far? What has been the reaction from customers?
It's going great. I mean, we just launched in mid-August, so it's the very first weeks.
Right.
But what is super interesting is the reviews are great. So I think the
Oh,
first thing
great.
we did well, they're all above. Like we always look at this 5-star review that we need to have. So when we are above like 4.5, 4.6, and we're clearly above that mark, we're all very happy. And it's we're talking about thousands of reviews. So it's for us, it's a great sign, and I think it's important because that's the first step. You start with great product, quality product, and then the whole story will come around it, the whole experience. If you don't have a product, then you have nothing. So it has to be the first step.
And many legacy brands, including Yves Saint Laurent, have been challenged to rethink their once traditional marketing strategies through the lens of the social consumer, while still remaining true to what has made their brand a coveted household name decade after decade. What is YSL Beauty's approach to winning over younger audiences on social media?
Yeah, we were clearly very, very focused on social media. So for us, it's, the right media mix. Social media is very included in all of our media plan. It's a growing portion of our investment. So it starts with that. But more importantly, it's the right content. We're obsessed with creating content that is native to each platform. So, we would do a board on Pinterest, we'd do a before after video on Facebook, maybe a special lens on Snap, a more polished look on Instagram. So, and then it's the right platform. So, of course, most beauty brands started on Instagram. It's also more of a natural fit for these brands because on Instagram, everything is a little bit more curated. You can control a little bit more. So we have great success there. We have, 9 million followers. So that's great. But now we also have to stay very close to the next platform. So obviously TikTok, our next obsession. And TikTok requires a very different approach. On TikTok, you first identify creators that have a strong affinity to your brand, to your values, and you build a relationship with them. And then you give them the space, the freedom to express themselves in their own way. And it's a big departure from what a brand would generally want to control. So I think that's super interesting, and we're all
super
learning.
Scary. I'm sure it's a little scary too when you sort of hand over that control, to the brand to someone on TikTok.
It's very scary, but it's at the end of the day, it's very exciting, and we're always also ready to pilot new programs, to learn new ways of working. Just recently we did a custom lens in Snap. So that's another way that Gen Z are consuming content right now. You'll just apply a filter, and you want to be one of these filters. We did an ad with a virtual try-on in YouTube. So basically, as you were watching the ad, you could apply the lipstick on your lips. We're all into test and learn, piloting with our media, our social media partners. And once we understand a little bit better, then we go big and fast, because it's that the whole landscape is changing so fast, honestly.
And with the brand name firmly anchored in the famed designer and fashion house, Yves Saint Laurent Beauty seems to have managed to carve out a space for itself. How does the brand position itself, and how much of it leans into the halo of Yves Saint Laurent, the designer, and the roots of the fashion house?
So our mission at YSL Beauty is to give people audacity, confidence, and power to live their lives by their rules and to be the change. And so I think it's this idea of freedom, of self-expression, of embracing the change. And it's very rooted already in the fashion brand, in the DNA of the brand. And Monsieur Saint Laurent used to say, I contributed to changing my era. I think it's very true. Today, Anthony Vaccarello, he continues to push the boundaries of fashion in everything he's doing. So again, for us, it's extremely important to have a consistent message. And the fashion house was built on very strong and modern values. And it's critical for beauty to be totally in sync and to embody the same values.
It seems that the distance between luxury and mass beauty has shrunk over the last decade, thanks to the digitalization of the market and the rise of these middle of the road chains like Ulta, et cetera, making it crucial for companies to meet them at various price and touch points. Do you see a redefinition of what luxury means in beauty, and how does that affect the way YSL Beauty products are sold?
Yeah, I think luxury is evolving, but I do believe that most of the fundamentals are staying, like quality of the formula in our case, quality of the texture of the fragrance, actual results, beautiful packaging. All of this will always be here. But then on top of that, you add the experience that is getting more and more important. You want to have the best advice in store. You want to have educational content online. Sometimes you want like AI tools to help you choose the shades, like you want personalization, wrapping. at the end of the day, it's luxury is becoming broader in a way. It's not just beautiful products. It's this whole experience around it. It's the set of values, the commitments, etc. For me, that's the evolution that we're seeing. So it goes a little bit out of the shop and the store where it first was, and it means that luxury can be a little bit everywhere and can be more and more in the streets because it's about this experience.
Do you think Gen Z has a more democratized view of what luxury is?
Yeah, I don't know if democratize is the right word. I think Gen Z are deciding what they want to see as luxury.
Right.
So, and for them, they're forcing luxury to go in the direction that they want. So I think it's more that I think they're influencing luxury because they are this activist force that we talked about.
And in beauty, as in other categories, the future of retail is omni-channel. The role of the store will change. It'll be more about curation, personalization, and experience rather than just the transaction. What are the most exciting examples that come to mind when you think about the possibilities for brick and mortar beauty retailers?
For us, it's all about bringing this full YSL experience into the store. So how do you inject life in the stores? It can be, just last week we had a DJ at Sephora in Soho because it was part of our launch moment. So it's bringing entertainment. It can be personalization. In a lot of our stores, corners, like we have UV printers, engraving machines to customize the products. You can also create products that are only available in store and that these exclusivities are extremely interesting too. So how do you bring the excitement to the store? And of course, sustainability. We have on fragrance more and more, we have refillable stations. So you can just bring your old glass bottle and it will be refilled. We constantly need to reinvent the store and give people a reason to actually come to the store. Brick and mortar is doing great right now. So it's not that it's so difficult to drag people to the store. I think we just we need to continue doing it, but there's already a reason why people want to see the physical objects, and it's just about reinventing and constantly innovating in store. But I think it's very doable and it's very necessary.
So, despite the mainstream appeal of gaming for brands across the consumer spectrum, the beauty industry has yet to infiltrate the metaverse quite in the same way that fashion and music have. What are your thoughts on incorporating virtual makeup products in games and using it as content commerce vehicle?
We're huge advocates of Modiface, for instance, which is a virtual try-on tool that is already integrated on most of our websites and with many retailers. And so you can try virtually makeup through Modiface. So you choose whatever product you want on video, like as you're filming yourself on camera, like you can apply the lipstick, the foundation you want. So we believe in virtual makeup first as a tool to help you eventually buy real makeup. But then what you're mentioning is also even going beyond that, is like creating a digital identity, like when you think of Twitch, of like the NFTs right now, like Fortnite, there's so many opportunities and we're definitely exploring. I see no reason why beauty is not going to be the next category to be there. You can push really interesting beauty looks. You can even try to think what digital fragrance would be. What does it mean to smell in the metaverse? So I think there's a lot of very interesting questions there.
Are there any beauty tech platforms that you're excited about now? Social selling and live stream are huge in China and other Asian markets, but it really hasn't taken off that much in North America. Any other beauty tech platforms you sort of have your eye on?
In a way, I think we're still trying to crack TikTok, and for me, it's we've made progress there. It is almost a beauty tech platform that is, to me, the most interesting right now. It's completely changing the influencer world. People are definitely buying after they see and discover products on TikTok. So, and the rules, as we said before, are completely different. So I think there's still so much to learn and to try with TikTok. For now, I'd say we're still very focused there.
And sustainability is a hot topic across virtually every sector, but it's become a particularly important conversation within beauty and personal care, an industry with replenishable products historically featuring
Mhm.
single-use packaging. I know sustainable packaging is a key commitment for the L'Oreal Group. Can you share some of the ways YSL Beauty is participating in the group's sustainability ambitions?
Yeah, L'Oreal has a really huge commitment on sustainability with a program called L'Oreal for the Future. Of course, YSL is included into this program. We also have our YSL for the Future program. So it's really trying to rethink entirely the way we conceive, produce our products to reduce the environmental footprint. So for the new range that we discussed earlier, it's designed with recyclable material. It's infused with ingredients sourced from our own gardens. When you look at our bestseller fragrances right now, they all of them use ingredients that are solidarity sourced, sometimes exclusively crafted for YSL. And if you think about gift sets, for instance, the boxes
Yep.
that we sell around Christmas, we are one of the first brand starting this year to entirely remove plastic from these boxes, and it will be cardboard only with a lot of recyclable materials there. We're reducing the packaging weight. We're suppressing the leaflet inside. So it's just the beginning. We're never going fast enough, and we want to go faster, but we're really, really committed to moving the needle very fast. And sometimes it's scary. You talk about gift sets. It's a huge time of the year in terms of sales. We're coming with a smaller box. It doesn't have the plastic inside, so you can't really open to show the products. So at first, you're a little bit scared, but we discussed it with our retailer partners, and everybody was very supportive. So I think it's also you have to start somewhere, and from there you have to scale as much as you can, and it's our responsibility to do this and to do it fast.
I've been noticing, unless it's my imagination, that pop-up shops and experiences have been a key part of YSL Beauty's marketing strategy in recent years. From the YSL Beauty station that looked like a retro gas station in Coachella to the experiential beauty hotel in Paris and New York City, a pop-up that featured AR face recognition technology. Are you aiming for those massive social media posts and engagement with those pop-up shops?
I mean, we're never against it, but I don't think it's so much about the massive social media engagement. It's also about being where the consumer is, creating more proximity. Again, offering this full brand experience. It's a playful angle, and it's it's a very unconstrained way to show what YSL can be and do. So I think it's important to continue to do these pop-ups. Like we just hosted one in September in New York for the launch of New. There is passion for that. There is a consumer demand we can't ignore. And I think especially after 18 months of virtual events, we can't wait to continue this. For me, it's a good testing ground. It's not necessarily something that is at scale because it's still limited to a certain number of people that can attend during that day.
Right.
But it's this idea of testing new things, seeing if we were totally unconstrained, what would YSL Beauty look like? So I feel that there's a lot to learn by doing this kind of pop-ups.
Well, I know there's a lot of things on your agenda right now. What is the one thing you are focusing on the most for the rest of this year and going into next year?
We're focusing on the consumer. And I think we're obsessed, and you've understood it, we're obsessed with what we call here consumer centricity. It's really forcing ourselves to think more and more from the consumer point of view than from a brand point of view. And it's a change in mindset. It's probably even more change of mindset for a luxury brand, but it's our obsession, and it's I think it's guiding our activities and our objectives right now.
So my final question, Laetitia, which I ask all my guests, is the luxury item question. So if you were stranded on a deserted island and you can only have one luxury item with you, what luxury item would that be? It can't be any form of air transportation. It can't have anything that requires mobile service. It's just you, a bunch of palm trees, just sand and surrounded by water. What would that one luxury item be that you would like to have?
I don't know if it qualifies as luxury, but I think it's a little bit of a boring answer, but it would be a book. I think, a very big book, ideally, something that will keep me busy for a long time. For me, I mean, it's probably because it's a luxury to me to have time to read a book. But I think it's also the luxury of, of knowledge, of like learning something. So any book, but a very long one with very little writing, like tiny letters.
That's a good answer. We've had book answers before, so it's
Oh,
not
I'm
unusual,
sure.
and it's this whole idea of finally having some peaceful time with yourself
Yeah,
and your book.
exactly. Yeah.
Laetitia Raoust, General Manager at YSL Beauty US. Thank you so much for joining me on The Luxury Item.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. It was a pleasure.
That's it for this episode of the Luxury Item Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this useful and entertaining, I would be really grateful if you can share it with a friend or colleague. I would love it if you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other listeners find us. The Luxury Item Podcast is a production of Silvertone Consulting. I'm your host, Scott Kerr. Until next time.